Let's start with everything you need to take care before you start recording. This will get a bit technical at times, but don't worry, I will break everything down so that it's easily understood. Apologies to the more advanced users, it is super important that I cover buffer size, bit depth, and sample rate. So if you already know this, you can go ahead and skip this section. Let's start with sample rate. Sample rate, or sampling frequency, has to do with the analog to digital conversion. When I'm recording something, anything, it will be in analog. So when I record my voice with my microphone, for example, it will simply be an electrical signal. The way to translate that analog signal and convert it to something that our computers understand and can play back is to convert it to a digital signal. And that digital signal can be measured in samples. So in simple words, the analog signal of what you're recording is being converted into binary data, hence digital conversion. And sampling rate is the number of samples of audio being captured and converted every second. And we measure that in hertz or kilohertz when we go above 1000. So when you see numbers like 48K, that means that our audio interface is sampling our signal at a rate of 48,000 times per second. Let's see what options we have in Logic. You can either change it from the LCD screen, but you have to check in the custom screen. So I'm going to go to custom, then customize control bar and display, and click on sample rate or punch locators. So I can either change it here, or you can go to projects. You can go to File, Project Settings, and then Audio. If you don't change the sample rate at the Choose a Project screen at the beginning, then Logic's default one will be 44.1 kHz. Let's click on it and see our choices. Now the most popular one is 44.1, and that number is not chosen in random. There's a reason behind it, and that brings us to our next topic. What sample rate do we use? Now we choose our sample rate according to the Nyquist sampling theorem. So in order for a signal to be accurately represented, our sampling rate has to be twice the highest frequency of our source. So let's say that we want to record something and the highest frequency is, 8,000 Hz. Then we need a sampling rate of at least 16,000 Hz. Easy enough to think about it, so your sample rate is twice the highest frequency of what you're recording. So why do we have 44.1 kHz as the standard sample rate for audio, which is by the way the CD format, 44.1K and 16 bits? Well, theoretically, and I think that's wrong, but it is generally accepted as the standard range, humans have a hearing range from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. In reality, it's lower than that. I'd personally say 30-35 Hz to 18K Hz is more accurate. It's a more accurate representation. And the older you get, the more of that range you lose. So why 44.1? Well, since our hearing theoretically goes up to 20K Hz, we don't hear above that. And as we said, according to the Nyquist theorem, we need double the highest frequency. So 44.1 kHz will technically cover a hearing range because it can accurately reproduce frequencies that go all the way up to 22,050 Hz. So you might be thinking, okay, that's fine when I record a voice, a bass guitar, etc. But what about simples or a piccolo that can get to really high frequencies? Now you may not physically hear it, but the harmonics of a high-pitched instrument could very well go above 20 kHz. I was reading a study on instrument harmonics that go above 20 kHz, and the one thing that stuck to my mind was that the harmonics of a muted trumpet can go all the way up to 80 kHz. So what happens then? Then we have a problem. When the highest frequency we are trying to capture goes above the Nyquist frequency, don't forget the Nyquist frequency is half of our sample rate, then digital artifacts are produced in our recording, and that is called aliasing. So in 48 kHz, for example, anything above 24,000 Hz would cause aliasing. And the way to combat that problem back in the day was to use an anti-aliasing filter, AAF, which was essentially a low-pass filter to cut out the audible aliasing. Another way to prevent that from happening is to use a higher sample rate. So I personally almost always use 48 kHz. That moves the Nyquist frequency to 24 kHz, which technically has more measurements per second than 44.1, and thus we get a better recreation of the original sound, of the original audio. Other times I choose a higher sample rate. I have a video on my channel where I created a horror sound library for a short film, and that was full of both cymbals and percussion. And I knew that the harmonics will go really high, and because of that, I recorded everything at a sample rate of 96 kHz. So always choose according to your project, but for most of the work that you do here in Logic, 48K will do fine. Now bear in mind that the higher your sample rate, the larger your files will be. For example, an audio file of exactly 1 minute in 24-bit depth at 44.1 kHz will be 15 megabytes. The same file at 192 kHz will be 4.6 times larger, so 69 megabytes. Last thing about sample rates, if you have to deliver something at 44.1 kHz and how to do that, I would suggest that you record at 48 kHz and then using a Dither plugin to convert it to 44.1 kHz. And now let's talk about bit depth. As I have already said, during the analog to digital conversion, the electrical signal of your recording is converted to binary, which is ones and zeros. Those binary values are called bits. The higher the number of bits, the more information they can hold. And during the recording, the audio information is stored in those bits. That's what the bits are, and you don't necessarily have to remember that. But what you have to definitely know is the relationship between bits and dynamic range. So in an audio track, a dynamic range is the difference between the loudest and quietest part of your track, and we measure that in decibels. The number of bits translates to available headroom. So each bit of information represents 6 decibels. So when we set our recording to 16 bits, then we have 96 decibels of available dynamic range to record. In 24 bits, we have 144 decibels available. By default, Logic is set to 24 bits. So go to your preferences, Command comma, and then go to recording. And now you can see that 24-bit recording is checked. If I uncheck this, then our recording will be in 16 bits. I would suggest that you leave it on 24, just make your life a bit easier. And so why is it important to have enough headroom while recording? That is because we want to be above the noise floor. All equipment produce noise. That includes your microphones as well. They produce self-noise. For example, I'm using a C4on4 right now to record my voice. And on the specs, it says that this mic has an equivalent noise level to IEC of 20 decibels. And that's natural. All equipment produces noise, and we call that the noise floor. Analog equipment has a louder noise floor, and digital equipment has a quieter noise floor. So by using a higher bit depth, we have a greater dynamic range to record our sound that is above the noise floor. We don't want to be too close to the noise floor because you will be compressing and make everything louder along with that noise floor. Now, important note, I will make a video on this, but I will quickly mention it here. Do not record as loud as you can. 144 dB of 24 bits of headroom is more than enough, and you don't have to go nowhere near that 0 dB point. So have your average peaks around minus 26 dB or minus 18 dB. And since we're not recording to tape, we don't have to worry as much about the noise floor. So 24 bits and stay away from hot input signals. And lastly, if you're coming from Pro Tools and you're wondering, how do I record in 32-bit float? You don't. At the time of making of this tutorial in Logic 10.7, you only have 16 and 24-bit recordings. Good, and lastly, let's have a look at buffer size. Buffer size has to do with how your computer handles information. So if you choose a lower buffer size, your computer handles information quickly. And then your system resources will need to be used, and that will be quite demanding on your processor. If you choose a higher buffer size, then it will use less system resources and it won't be as taxing on your processor. So buffer size does not affect the quality of your recording, but it affects the latency. Let's open the preferences and look at our options. Let's go to audio, I/O buffer size. So if I choose 32, you can see that we get a round trip latency of 7.6 milliseconds. And if I choose 1024, then I get a latency of 52.9 milliseconds. And that is a lot. So generally, you start perceiving that there's latency in the sound when you go above 20 or 30 milliseconds. Less than that, you don't really notice a difference, especially if your ears are not trained. So when you're recording, you need to monitor your signal in real time. So you need to choose one of the lower numbers to have the lowest latency possible. And then when you start adding more plugins during your mixing and mastering stages, you don't really care about latency, but you need the power. So you select one of the higher numbers. So very, very easy rule to remember. Low buffer size during recording, high buffer size during mixing.